Hey everyone, welcome back. Just working on getting the last of the door here taken care of. I think I ran out of Sikaflex actually, so I had to wait and order some more. But anyway, you can see everything's all prepped, all ready to go. I'm basically doing a quick dry fit to make sure that I'm still on task. There's a little bit of a primer that has to go into place and there are different primers. So there's one for the plexiglass, and then there's one for the actual composite material of the door. So you got to make sure that you get the right one on the right location. Once you get that prepped, then it's time to do the other side of things. And this goes on really easy. It's actually kind of fun, but there's the different Sikaflex and primers that you got to do. That's all in the instruction manuals. It's not terribly hard. Basically, I just Googled and found the part numbers. There's only really a few places that actually carry it. So got that ordered, got that in, and basically glued it up. Make sure that I didn't get a big enough hole in it, so the Sikaflex is a very thick material, and I almost kind of wish that I had like an electric caulk gun because it would definitely make this part easier. Because I don't really want to make a bigger hole on the caulk gun or the caulk itself, but it is what it is. I mean, I'll just work through it. Anyway, so that almost lays into place, as you can see here. It's not horrible, but again, I still want to clamp it down, make sure that it's in there nice and solid and fits real well. There is you want to give yourself maybe a good eighth to a quarter inch opening around the entire window where it sits into the door or any of the other parts of the airplane, because this will be like the first time you'll actually like be pressing it down into place, and it may change its shape a little bit so that it fits a little bit tighter than what you had originally cut it to. I got super aggressive with the Sikaflex here to make sure that it was covering uh, well enough. I found that uh, if you don't have a good amount of bleed out around the edges, that you wind up having to go back and redo the parts that didn't get enough Sikaflex. It's not a huge deal because the contact has already been done, but you don't get a really nice clean edge around the door and the plexiglass. So I've had to do that a number of times, including the main windscreen, and in fact I'm still at this point in time in progress for doing some cleanup that I'm just not happy with, and it's just a matter of squirting some more Sikaflex into the opening, but it does mean retaping and get everything all back together again. It's just more mess. And again, like I said, not terribly a fan of working with this just because it's so visible, and really wish that I was better at this part. I'm sure with building two or three more planes, maybe, I don't know. You never know. I might actually, get there where I actually have the right skill to do this without much of an effort. Anyway, so that's getting that on, getting that dried out, or waiting for it to cure. And after this, then we move on to the next phase of things, which is starting to work on some of the interior. Um, so flipping over to the interior side of things, I started with the rear luggage compartment. I did have some extra foam left over. So just a second on that. This is just getting everything laid out. There is a sort of a plan. Every single one of these has a writing on the back of it. So I had some foam left over, and there's the foam. And since I had enough left over, I sort of doubled up on the back portion of the airplane to help with some noise and hopefully maybe some insulation. Um, I have that boat glue there that's sitting on there. It just means that you could pretty much glue up everything twice. It using that glue, it goes in pretty decent. It is a fairly potent smell. There was definitely some days where I could only work for so long before the smell got or the fumes got really overwhelming. If I had to do this differently, so what I'm pointing out there is that there's a seam or a material that covers up that longeron there. I would have put that material on first that I'm pointing to there, and then put on the rest of it, because I think that would have given me a more finished look. Um, but it's too late at that point in time. I was kind of committed to that way of doing things. This is how it wound up being. I think it looks pretty good. You'll also notice that down in the bottom there, the three black knobs are, I switched out how the rear seat actually attaches rather than using the Druze, I believe it is. I just put in some riv nuts into the hole that match those thumb screws or the hand screws, and I like that better. I just couldn't get the back seat to fit in there well enough using the Druze. A friend of ours did the, oh, and I also put in some mounting clips in the rear portion of the luggage area. The way I did that is I just took like an 1/8 inch piece of aluminum and I cut it to fit below the deck, riveted that into place, and then popped a couple riv nuts in it. So there's a fairly amount of structure below that that is keeping those in place. A friend of ours actually does stitching, and she's a pilot, and she did us a favor and does the experimental label. I hope that passes the DAR. It's in the back of the airplane, so I might not get away with it, but it still looks pretty cool. So we'll see how that works out. With all that done, now it's time to work on the back seat. I just used a soldering iron to poke holes through the riv nuts that were existing in the actual plate itself. Totally destroyed the soldering iron as part of that process, but I got a nice clean hole all the way around that. Just did it on both sides. The one thing that I ran into was I just had a terrible time with those riv nuts not stripping out, and then I had to rework them a bunch. So that was awful fun. Anyway, so getting the Velcro basically mounted to the seats themselves. It was just a matter of aligning them, based on where they were at in the seat itself, and pulling them out. The one thing that I found that was interesting was when you go to try to put them on, I mean, obviously the Velcro wants to grab onto itself. So what I wound up doing was when I went to go put it on, I had to get I think it's a little bit later in the video here, but I took a piece of sheet metal or aluminum, the 6061 aluminum, to help build a guide for it to go. There it is. So basically it allows for that to slide over the existing Velcro and get it down into place, and then I can pull the plate out and then the Velcro's in place. So that was my answer to that. Anyway, so that's just part of the rear seat installation. So that was a little bit tricky, but basically I had to do it on the front and back, and it allowed me to slide the parts into place, and made it a lot easier, because I honestly don't know how else you would do it, because once the Velcro hits on either side, it's done. It's not going to go. It doesn't want to slide any further. So they're on there really well. I hope I don't have to take them off again. Certainly when if I ever have to redo the interior, but that's going to be hopefully not while I own the airplane. But once I got the first one done, then it was just a matter of, okay, well, I got all the parts and I just slide it into place, cover it up, goes down into place. The one thing I did do was I did paint that back plate, because I have the split seats obviously, and I painted it so that the plates themselves actually are black, and they match. The one problem that I ran into, this is bending that mount point into place. This is actually before I did the thumb screws. The one thing I ran into was this slider that's down below the lower portion of the window there just is really kind of anemic. I put the seats in, slid that over, let go of the seats, and it just pulled the riv nut right out of the back itself. And I mean, the riv nut was in there really good. So what I wound up doing was basically getting enough material to make another swing arm like this one. And it wasn't hard. I mean, it's just a flat piece of material with 8 screws in it. And that's what it looked like in the end. So I've got more surface area on the seat to hold that seat into place. And it's just held in place by that thumb screw. Just bought a box of those, so I've got those sitting around. This is the interior, all prepped, ready to go in the back. And then I spent some time getting that actually into place, making sure that it fit. I also painted the front part of the seat itself in case there's any that gets exposed. And that's with the seat in place itself. There's fabric that goes up on that panel, just it's not in this particular picture. So it should cover that, but that black line there is the part that lifts up to allow you to get underneath there. This will have to come back out again because I haven't finished some things that are underneath, but I got it in, got it test fit, everything works really well. So now that I got that done, on to getting the spats worked up. Um, I it's kind of funny. I'm actually almost running out of parts in the house. So it's just a matter of time now before things get moved. This is pretty easy, I think. Again, just working on it, doing what makes sense, and basically I got everything lined up. Popped my first hole in, put a cleco in, and then just riveted along. There are some dimensions that they give you as far as where to put the mount or the rib nuts into, or the screws themselves, and I followed that along from the instructions. Here I'm just opening up the hole for where you are allowed, or where you have access to the needle on the wheel itself for filling it up with air if necessary. That one is another one of those tricky ones where you want to get it the right size, because if you drill it too big, then the part that goes in there won't fit. It'll just kind of fall through, but you have to cut it big enough so that it does fit. So this is where I'm getting the mount for the part where the spat fits on the inside of the wheel itself, so it's on the inboard side. And what I wound up doing was getting I took each side off the airplane because it's been on the airplane up to this point in time, and I just made sure that I aligned it. I think I've got a section of the video here that covers that. But I'm just making sure that it all gets lined up on the outside here. And again, every rib nut that I've done, I've always applied a coat of epoxy with it to make sure that it doesn't spin, even if you get a solid mechanical grip. Nothing drives me more crazy when rib nuts spin, and adding that extra a bit of epoxy there to help prevent that from happening is just some peace of mind for myself, and hopefully it makes it a little bit more secure. I didn't have a drill bit the size that they recommended you to use, so basically I drilled it up the size that I could and then just Dremeled the rest of it out. So there's the plate that goes on the actual landing gear itself, and I just basically lined that up. The holes, where the holes actually go into the fiberglass, is molded so that it has a fairly square fit to it, and I just wanted to make sure that it was lined up, because no matter how hard I try, I always seem to have a tough time getting holes to line up correctly. But by using that as a template, it got it lined up real nice and good. So anyway, just rinse and repeat of more of the same, to getting the rib nuts on and then putting the rest of the plates on. And at this point in time, I'm pretty well caught up on where things are at. There'll certainly be more videos. I'm not really sure where they're going to be filmed at, but the next series should be pretty interesting. So anyway, thanks for joining. Appreciate everybody for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye.